Hi, and welcome to the Hancock Creative Podcast. I'm Shawn Hancock.
And I'm Missy Hancock.
And I'm Vinton Bain.
Today we're talking about play.
Play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning. But for children, play is serious learning. That's a quote from Fred Rogers, all of our favorites, Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And it is so true. And it's not even exclusive to children, although he's talking about children there. And today we just want to talk a little bit about how important play is in the adult's life too, and into keeping your creativity alive. When in regards to children, I think it's fascinating that the United Nations High Commission has recognized play as a human right, as a right of every child. And it is, because play is important for the development of children. It may seem absurd that it would have to be declared a right, but of course there's the obvious attacks against childhood that people hear of in third world countries, and that's, child labor and all these things. But there's also in the great United States of America, there's this other thing that happens where people
Called soccer moms?
Yeah. Was it helicopter parenting or I can't remember.
They're hovering over
the hovering. But it is this tendency that well-meaning parents have to over-control their child's lives and over-structure their lives. And so when we're talking about play here, we are not talking about structured activity, like organized, led by teachers or other adults. We are also not talking about video games or sports. We are talking about unstructured, child-led and driven play.
Like running around and...
Yeah. Make-believe, just crazy, just fun. Whether it's running around or not, even if it's just sitting there with your action figures. But we're talking about that kind of play. And so that is what this episode is about.
And we're not talking about for children. It's important that we wrap our minds around that we, as adults, need to play. It's important for us to play as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm going to try really not to get on some sort of soapbox.
But he likes it so much, so let's just let him climb up there for just a second.
I'm not going to do it. But I will say, not allowing kids to play, I think, is damaging ultimately to them as they develop and even into adulthood.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was just thinking about when we're playing, and everybody played when they were kids, but what's going on in the brain when we play? I mean, how are we developing when we're playing? Briefly, some things that come to mind are, first, we're engaging in our imagination, and we're creating characters, story scenarios, worlds. We're developing
games as we go.
Yeah, we're developing we're developing rules to follow you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
So we're kind of constructing our own parameters of where to go, what to do. So it's really kind of an organizational sort of process that we're developing as children. And we're also playing a role, like I'll have my part to play, you'll have your part to play, when we're playing with other kids or whatever. Yeah. And then it's also a situation where you always see kids like they'll approach a total stranger to them, another kid.
Yeah.
And they'll say, "You want to play?" And it doesn't matter what that kid looks like.
Yeah.
They don't care how old they are necessarily, and they don't care what race they are. They don't care anything about that. Yeah. All they know is, another kid. We could play.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's play together. And they don't care if they're male or female or what. And we kind of lose that when we grow up.
One thing you missed that we were talking about earlier, too, is problem solving. I mean, a lot of problem solving. Yeah. You set up the parameters, and then you solve the problem set up by the parameters.
Yeah. And I even think that you're developing this team building sort of scenario. You're unified together. And I think that you're probably, breaking down the walls of segregation.
Oh, absolutely.
Not just racially, but age segregation and those things. Because you don't care. You're just playing.
Yeah.
There's no rules. I mean, other than the rules that you set up, but you're just playing.
We can learn from children in that, that there's this openness among children. You want to play?
Yeah.
And it's like, as we grow up, our walls go up, we get a little more guarded. You know, we don't have this like open way about us with other adults. We feel like we gotta, I think a lot of times people feel like they have to spin stuff, they have to put out the right image, and we've even talked about branding and image and stuff like that. And of course you do have to be aware of that. But what a better image than just being a kind, open,
playful,
welcoming person.
Right. Yeah, and here's where it really ties in, I think, to creativity and really us as adults. When we're kids, we will say things like, let's pretend like we're whatever, cops and robbers, something. You know?
Or more appropriately, pretend like you're the Batman and pretend like I am a giant bug that just crawled out of that hole over there.
It's like Batman versus the bug.
Yeah, pretend like.
And so if you take that, into the adult world, like Missy and I, we basically, it's as if we were saying to each other, let's pretend like we have a podcast.
Oh, yeah, it's very much like that.
Let's pretend like we have a shop where we sell T-shirts and things.
Let's pretend like we know what the hell we're doing in life.
Let's pretend like we know how to run a magazine, or let's pretend like we know how to
put on an art show. Let's pretend like we know how to do that.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can do this, and I'll do that, and that's pretty much how we do it.
Total fantasy land.
Well, we did all those things because we pretended like we knew how to do that, and we just jumped in and did it. And I think that's a little bit of a secret to success. Fake it till you make it is a well-known saying, and I think there's a lot of truth to it. Just pretend like you are the CEO of a successful company, and you will become that because you're thinking, if I am a CEO of a successful company, what would I do? And then you just continue to play that role as if you were playing.
See, I've always hated the fake it till you make it saying because I don't like anything fake. So I'm like, well, that is not authentic.
But you like to pretend.
But I do like to pretend. And so if he says, instead of fake it like you make it, pretend like you're a superstar. It's like, okay, I'll pretend like that.
Okay, so there's this quote that Ricky Gervais, is that how you say his last name?
I think so.
And so if you're not familiar with Ricky Gervais, he is the creator of The Office and other great comedies. He said, "The best advice I've ever received, no one else knows what they're doing either."
Yeah.
Which is true. And
to a certain,
and
for sure.
good to realize.
Yeah. I had this conversation with my brother-in-law, who is a CFO of a pretty large corporation, and he basically says the same thing. And so that really meant a lot to me because I see him as pretty successful.
Yeah, he is.
And if he doesn't always know what he's doing, and he's worked closely with CEOs of major corporations, like they don't know. I mean, they know what they're doing, but they don't really feel like they know what they're doing.
Yeah, we're all figuring a lot of it out as we go along, and that's good because there's new things thrown at us every day, so we have to be able to.
And there's certain situations where, I mean, if you've never been the president of the United States, how do you know how to be the president of the United States? You don't until you've been the president of the United States. So all those guys are pretending.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
They're like, hey, let's pretend like I'm the president of the United States. If I was the president of the United States, what would I do?
I would say donuts for everyone. Okay.
I guess that is how you run a presidential campaign. You say, let's pretend like I'm the president. Here's what I'm going to do. And people go, I don't like the way you pretend.
Let's pretend like I'm not voting for you.
That's a great pretending because it sounds like Fantasyland.
But, I think that we kind of tell ourselves, I'm not qualified to do this. I'm not experienced to do this. And it's like
I was never trained in that.
Yeah, I don't have the educate or whatever, and we can make these excuses. But the fact of the matter is, most of the jobs that are available to us, we just pretend that we can do it. And especially if
we apply the skills that we've been developing in life and other things.
Yeah, especially if you're a creative person, an entrepreneurial type person or whatever, you just pretend and you just move forward into that, just imagining what it's like to be that person that you're becoming.
It just reminds me of those stories where someone goes in to a job that they really want, but they can't get like an interview or anything. So they just go in there and start working. They pretend like they have that job, and eventually they start getting paid, because it's like, oh, you show up here every day and do this. All right, I guess we'll let you have this job.
That makes me think of Secret of My Success.
Secret of My Success, yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know if that's ever happened, but I feel like I've heard that story from multiple different places.
Yeah. It's definitely in movies, and I love it when that happens.
That actually happens in real life, though. I mean, people...
Didn't Steven Spielberg do something like that? It seems to me like he did, but someone may know that.
Could have. Somebody
I don't know. So one might think that play goes against work or productivity. But the truth is, and what we've discovered in our own lives, and I like to pretend like these are original thoughts to us, actually... Giant, very successful corporations have figured this out. Really great creative companies have figured out that if you play, you are more productive. And especially for creative people. It's like if you have an environment where it's like, okay, you got to get this done, get that written, get this, crank that art out. You can just eke forward with progress, and every stroke of the brush is killer. Torturous, and every word just doesn't flow. And then you can stop and just say, oh, let's do something fun. Let's play
for a little while. Then you just get right into it. But even if you're just trying to generate an idea, and you just you soak up all the information, all the parameters of what this idea has to have, and you can just wrestle with it and never come out with anything. But then as soon as you go play and take your mind off of it for a while, you can come back to it, and it will just come to you. It'll just appear out of nowhere, like magic.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. You're often much more productive if you just stop and just horse around for a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Play feeds productivity. It fuels it rather than being a deterrent from hard work.
Yeah.
Downtime. Also, in the same vein, it's I think what Shawn and I have a hard time doing, because we work from home, we work together, we're together all the time, our kids are together with us, we're homeschooling, everything is work and everything is play, but it's easy to get where you're constantly always working on something. It's like doing this podcast is really fun. And so we do the podcast on one of our days, quote unquote, days off is when we plan it and record it. And it is fun. But it's for us, we both have to kind of remember, downtime where there's not anything pressing. It increases your productivity too. Because if you take time where you're just I am just playing, I'm just chillaxing today, you the next day are 10 times more productive than you would be if you don't take that. So
yeah, absolutely.
You get burnt out if you don't take those times to just hang out and chill out and play. And on top of that, you can take a job that is normally boring or stressful or something and turn it into a game, turn it into play, and it makes it so much more easy to do. It's the Mary Poppins theory. A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down.
I might need to sing. Okay, I won't.
But yeah, it's whatever you do. I mean, I come from the bookstore world, so if you're shelving books, see how fast you can do. I bet I can get this many books out in this time. Or just make little bets with yourself, or do things rhythmically, do things to a tune. Find all sorts of ways to make it fun and playful, and it makes those tedious jobs go by way faster, and you have fun and you're productive, and at the end of the day you're not stressed out because of it.
Well, exactly. and if you share that with your coworkers, okay, here's what we're doing, it's talk like a pirate day or whatever, all those things make life.
I'm gonna see how many times I can say meow to this customer. Let's do this. I actually do that at work because I will answer the phone, and normally we answer the phone in whatever normal tone we have, but I'll look straight in my coworker's eyes and I'll pick up the phone and I go, "Half-price books, thanks for calling, how may I help you?" And the customer usually doesn't even know this. They just say whatever they say. My fellow employees are just cracking up laughing because of it.
Yeah.
And life is so much more fun. We were answering a question that I had, and that is, what is play for adults? Because some adults really don't know. Well, you just gave some good examples. I want to start with some negatives, because I find it's really nice to focus on the negative.
Of course. It's a good thing to focus on.
But But one thing really, no, this is true. I started thinking, we were like, okay, what does play look like for adults? And we're listing off the positives. And then Shawn jokingly said something about drama. And I was like, oh my God, that is what bored people who are not constructively playing do. They create drama.
That is true. And they
just
feed off
to entertain
it. Yeah.
themselves. And it just, I sincerely despise
And those
drama.
same people will create the drama, then turn to you and go, I just hate drama. I just want to get away from this drama. It's so much drama.
He is not saying that because I just said I hate drama. I really am not.
In my experience, that is true, that those people will do that, and then they'll turn to you, and that's like part of the play.
That's
like,
part of it,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, it's part of it. It's part of the game.
It's like, oh my God, I just hate this drama. Can you believe she said that? Oh my God. No.
Yeah, you need a hobby is what you need.
Exactly. You need to play, girlfriend, because you are driving me shit crazy. Okay. See, I got to work in the explicit. Have I cussed for a while? I don't think so.
That was the first one.
That was, okay. Another thing that can be negative is partying. Just going out and getting wasted, all that crap that people of all ages do.
Yeah. Or sex.
Well, now sex is okay.
Well, some of those things are okay, but it's like
okay.
in the end, it's like
I don't have a problem with it.
There are fun and good things to do, and some things, if you do too much of them, end up hurting you, and they don't end up being fun. They don't end up being productive.
Right, exactly.
You do too much of those things, you get like drunk all the time. You end up throwing up the next day, having a horrible hangover, and then you could get alcohol poisoning if you take it too far. There's things that you can do that seem fun in the moment and end really poorly for you.
There's a difference between doing these things
to fill a void.
Yeah, it's like, sex in a relationship is one thing, but sex because you're bored, that's something else.
Yeah, that's true.
Going out and partying and whatever because you don't have a healthy play life.
You don't have any fun in your life?
Yeah, that's just not being a responsible person.
Okay.
So
now,
there you play if you want to be a responsible person.
That's
It's
right.
all about motivation.
Yes, play.
Get out there and do the good things for yourself and have fun.
Yeah.
I like that. That's our new slogan. Responsible people play. I like it. We're going to have to make a bumper sticker of that, girlfriend. Okay, I'm the only girl in the room. I don't know why I'm saying girlfriend because it makes me happy. Now we'll move to the positive. What is play for adults? And the very first thing we thought of was just actually literally playing with children. Because if you're lucky enough to have a child in your life, if you're game to play, they really don't care that you're a grown-up.
They will drag you off to play with them anytime.
They will. They were like, this one will play? Okay. And so
This one,
that's
adult.
That's how they pick favorites. Are you willing to play with them? I've learned this from all my friends with kids. That all the other adults that they don't like them because every time they come, they're like, "You want to play tag?" They're like, "No, I'm talking to your dad here." And they come up to me and they, "You want to play tag?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I do. See you guys later. I'm gonna play with this kid."
Well,
they're way more fun than you are talking about politics over there. I'm gonna go play tag.
Oh, good God, yes. I'll play tag all day long if I don't have to talk about politics. Okay. But one thing about playing with children that is really cool is you really do relate with them at a completely different level than you can in any other format, in any other moment in time. When you're playing, all the rules change. There's no hierarchy. There's no, like you said before, walls of segregation. Age segregation just falls down. They're ready to play. My mom used to always play Robbie and Robert with our younger 3 kids. And what it was is a collection of Happy Meal toys that they had collected over the years that had kept at Grandma's house. And there were these 2 robots from Robots, I think. The movie Robots, yeah. But I think they named them Robbie and Robert, and they were married. It would amaze me because my mom would be in there creating this whole scene with the girls. You need to go, la, la, la. And she's making this robot talk. And my girls have a seriously great bond with her.
Detailed. It really sounded like somebody's life going on in there.
Well, and they would pick it up. It was a saga that continued. We're talking for probably 6 years. I mean, really. And they still
like a soap opera.
Yeah, I mean, they're like young teenagers or almost teenagers, and they still adore their grandmother and will go over there to spend time with her because she did play with them like that. And so I think that's one way you can play with an adult, is the very literal, okay, if you got some kids in your life, play with them.
Well, that type of play where you let a child's imagination run, that type of play, when you step into a child's imagination and he has the control of the world, it is the only time where you step into a child's world and he doesn't have to step into yours as an adult.
Yeah.
Because the child is always having to come up to you and because you know more about the world, they're having to step into your world because they don't know as much as you do. And so you're the one that's always kind of guiding them and leading by the hand and saying, here's the way of the world. Here's the way this goes. But you step into a child's world of imagination and play and they say, here's the way of the world. Here's the thing. The sky is green and the grass is purple. And this is the way this world works. And you're finding out about it. And they're leading you by the hand for once. And it's completely different. You completely switch the roles and it just opens up this whole new realm of possibility.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so fun. That's awesome. So other positive ways that adults play. What are some other things we do?
Well, I mean, this is kind of nerdy, but I think role-playing games is kind of an adult's way to play.
Yeah.
Because you're creating a character.
LARPing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never been, but that sounds fun. I've always thought it'd be cool. But
Nerd.
Kill the nerd! Kill the nerd!
I don't deny that. I never have. Even when it wasn't popular. But, like you're developing worlds. I mean, you're basically doing what children do, but you've got paper and dice along with it.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of collectors, quote unquote, collectors, like someone in this room.
Vinton.
Why am I being stared at?
Now, I think that is a form of playing, collecting toys and collecting things like that. There's been for years the train model enthusiasts or the model, and they're building their models or
building their little towns.
The little towns with, and I think that is a form of adult play where you are using your imagination. I mean, you might not be taking two figures and going fighting each other or whatever like you would when you're a kid, but your imagination is still there.
Yeah.
Working,
You're building a world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Improv. These are all more organized. So basically, a couple weeks ago, we did an episode that was like 29 creative things to spark your creativity or something. It wasn't that, but there were 29 of them.
I don't know why there wasn't 30. We ran out of ideas.
But a lot of those things, I mean, an impromptu way to play when you're just like, oh my gosh, getting your head bogged down and you're in a project. It's just stuff like we said before, the floor is lava and just silly stuff.
Would you rather?
Would you rather? Oh God, I love Would You Rather. Yeah. One really fun, like very impromptu game you can play while you're doing something else that we didn't mention. So here's number 30 for you. And
you got to go through a few episodes to get that last one.
I know, get through. But it is this game that our oldest son actually despises, but the rest of us think it's fun. And that is, you think of a character, historical figure, a book character, a movie character, anything really. And you think of it. You ask questions. It's kind of like 21 questions, but
yeah, there's one person that doesn't know what you decided upon, and they are that thing or that person.
Yeah, and they are asking, "Am I a female? Am I?" Until they figure out who they are, and they can only ask yes or no questions, and it's loads of fun, and it like sparks your imagination, gets you thinking, and gets the brain juices flowing. That's a technical term, brain juices.
There's something that Vinton touched on, the way that he answers the phone or whatever, but you used to sell jewelry and do accents or something.
Oh, yes. For a very brief time in history, I sold jewelry door to door to businesses. And the only thing that made it palatable was to go in and pretend like I was from far off lands. And I won't do it here today because I'm so bad at it. I was always like from a mythical land because I can't be Australian or Irish or English. They all blend together. But it was fun for me.
And those people were like, where was she from?
But it made me be able to enjoy my day.
I actually used to do that at work too, because I realized very quickly working at a register that with each customer that comes up, I kind of responded a little bit differently to them anyways. If it was like a guy my age, I maybe a little deeper voice. If it was an older lady, I'd get a little softer and talk to her and be a little more kinder. If it was a little kid, I'd be even like a little more silly or something. Yeah. But I realized that, and so I just started taking it to that nth degree and going, okay, I'm just going to create a character here. Now I'm a real gruff, mean guy. And the customer goes like, hey, you need a bag with that or what? and then like someone else will come up and I'd be like, hey, how's it going today? How are you? What are you up to? You need a bag? All right, let's get you that bag then. And then I'd see how, like the country accent, like, hey, y'all, you can eat a bag there? Yeah. All right, well, let me get you on out of here. Y'all come back now, you hear? And they never respond because they just assume that's who you are. That's the only interaction they're ever going to have with you, so they don't know any better.
Although I have to say, Vinton, with your blue mohawk saying, y'all come back now, you hear? I'm sure that did make them think, what on earth did I just witness?
I mean, they think that anyways, just looking at me without the voice, so...
It's like, well, this is Oklahoma. I don't know. Anything possible, I guess. So I think the process, just the process of creating in general, is play.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
So you're making things, you're generating ideas. That's all part of play. And so I think that's...
It is. I've been playing like I'm redecorating my house. It's like I'm trying to figure out how to redo everything because I'm bored, and it feels very much like when I was a child decorating the dollhouse, and I think women do it all the time, and they don't think of it as play, but often like putting outfits together and all that is a form. It's like doing the same thing you did as a child, designing clothes for your Barbie and all that. It's all tapping into that play side of your brain.
Yeah, the same with building forts or sandcastles or that sort of thing. We are working that play, that imagination, and that creating side of our brain, even though, what does it hurt for a grown man to go out into his yard and start building a fort out of crap? If you have crap in your yard.
Yeah, I still want to build blanket forts to this day. That was my favorite thing as a kid. I would always try to convince my friends. They'd be like, why? We're in a room. And I'm like, no, you put up blankets and it's like a tent and you put the TV in there and then you watch Saturday Night Nickelodeon.
I agree. I think it should be done.
I have a quick question. Do you have anything that you did as a child, like imagination play-wise, that you still do today that maybe you don't verbalize to other people, but you still do it? Because I do, and I'm just curious if anyone else has something like that.
Yeah, I think I still play with puppets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't go out and play like I would like to go out and
you are building lightsabers with your daughters, and you
that is true. We do
Star Wars.
We do some Jedi things.
You do some Jedi things, yes. And so
we do move objects with our minds.
Yes, because we have mind powers. Booyah.
More like we imagine that we move things.
I have a couple of friends who will often, when someone asks, like if you're in a group setting and someone asks like, hey, will someone grab me the soda or will someone close that door? One or two of them at any given time will then stare at it intently. And when the other person gets up and closes it, they'll be like, yes. And like, I used my force to get you to do that.
I know. Awesome. I'll do that and Missy will just move it because she's tired of me staring at it.
Well, I asked that question because I have a thing that I do still to this day when I'm the passenger in a moving vehicle that I've done since I was a little kid, which is when I stare out the side, I imagine, and it changes, varies from drive to drive, but Spider-Man perhaps swinging by from the power poles or something, or a skateboarder like skating by alongside the car doing kickflips over different things and avoiding the obstacles, or just like any other superhero just running and tumbling over things. Before parkour was a thing, just thinking of how a superhero gets around, like Daredevil swinging around and jumping over things and from building to building as you drive across. I do that still to this day.
That's cool. I'll do that too. I'll imagine this is weird, but I'll how like when you're passing and there's like a concrete wall or whatever those things are along the side, I will like imagine cartoons on the side of those things moving along, sort of like the skateboard guy, but they're moving along the side with, I don't know why, I don't know how I ended up thinking of that, but sometimes I do that all the time. I'll think there's a cartoon over there on that wall.
And then he drives the car into the wall. No, he doesn't.
No, if I'm the passenger.
See, I don't do it when I'm driving.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
too
I
focused.
don't do that either. I zone out when I'm driving.
Exactly. Yes.
I don't
Like a
focus
good
on
adult.
something else.
You're a responsible adult. You zone out when you drive.
Exactly. No, I thought you were going to say like you would do that thing where you stick your arm out the window
Oh, I
and you
do
wave
that.
your hand
Yeah,
when the
Yes,
wind.
I still do that. And as a
Yeah.
matter of fact,
I'll do that too.
our friend Corey and I wanted to get this tattoo of this superhero kid on us, and I thought it might be a neat idea to get it somewhere on my forearm where I can hang out my arm out the window and watch him fly. I don't know if I could do it easily, and I think it might look weird normally there, but I thought it would be an interesting thing to have him on the side so you could make him fly out the window.
That'd be a cool tattoo.
Yeah.
I think it would work.
That's awesome. I love it. I do the arm thing. I used to like make up musicals and write silly characters, and apparently I do voices with fair regularity without realizing it. So I suppose I do my fair share of pretending. I like to pretend I'm a goddess. But
That's not a far stretch.
yeah. Oh, thank you, honey. I love you.
Yeah.
Well, to sum it all up, you got to play, people. It makes life so much better. And that's kind of what us creative people do. We play for a living. And so we challenge you, let life be more fun. If you're making your living in the creative field, stop and realize that and think of it as the play. Think of it as a creative adventure. And if you're in the creative field and you're working for someone else, take a deep breath, have some fun, play. Don't let the bastards get you down. You can do this thing.
So, your assignment this week is to find a way to make a mundane, ordinary task more fun by playing. Whether it's work or just a chore or whatever it is, find a way to make it more fun by turning it into some kind of game, some type of play, and tweet at us. Let us know what you came up with. We'd love to hear it.
Like Vinton said, please talk to us on Twitter at Hancock Creative. Check us out on Instagram or Facebook at Hancock Creative Shop. We've got some really neat things on Etsy at Hancock Creative Shop.
Buy the things. All the things.
Subliminal messaging. Okay. If you're if you're in Guthrie, Oklahoma, please stop by and see us. We'd love to meet you. And if you come in, tell us that you know us from the podcast, because we would love to meet you. And thanks to Vinton here for recording and always making things awesome, and to Gabriel Knight at gabrielknight.bandcamp.com for the music. And thank you for listening. We appreciate you. Be blessed this weekend. Make art.
This has been a Graphomania production. If you would like to hear more podcasts, go to graphocast.com, graphocast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Graphocast and like the Graphomania page on Facebook for news and updates.